plan into the waste paper basket. Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City is another example, I think, of a situation where there was $3 billion locked in counterterrorism legislation, had been locked there for a period of time, had been blocked, had not been allocated. Oklahoma City bombing takes place, the building comes down, all that money gets released, and there are jobs for the boys and money for the well-connected and the cronies as a result of that. You know, McVeigh blew the front off that building with his fertilizer, and he thought he did it. He thought that he actually did it. When I was in London, somebody sent me this these rolled up sheets of paper, and I assumed when I looked at it that it was being sent to me by a member of the Corps of Engineers who had a conscience and who was concerned and who had participated in the wiring. Because when I went through it, it was the wiring plans for that building. And even today, as time lapses, people will come forward and say, yes, you know, I remember engineers running in there to take out unexploded bombs. So that was another example. World Trade Center 93, I mean, the FBI organized that whole operation. That's not even denied now. And they even said to the guys they entrapped, don't worry, these are not real bombs. So governments do these things, don't they?
If the building was wired, lots of people had to get past security every day for a while. Remember when I said I lived in high-rises my whole life? Well, I worked in them too. And there is no way you can access buildings like those without the building security knowing. Lots of equipment had to be brought in. Authorization forms would need to be filled out. There would be drilling and pounding and dust in the ventilation ducts. Whoever was coming in would need a plausible reason to be there. They would need access to the elevator shafts. They would be taking incredible risks each day, unless they had permission to access the guts of the building.
Anybody who's ever watched a building being demolished on purpose knows that if you're going to do this, you have to get at the under infrastructure of a building and bring it down.
The columns could have been set up with explosive devices during the off-hour operations of the building by elevator company personnel.
It wouldn't be a problem once you gained access to the elevator shafts.
How about an elevator modernization, which we know was going on the 9 months prior to 9/11? There are people who noted that the elevators were locked in turn and that there were guards placed at these locked elevators during the modernization.
And in the case of a steel frame building, that means we load them with RDX cutting charges, which are loaded with individual delays, sometimes as many as 2 to 3 different delays on a given floor.
I was sick to death of the dust which was appearing on the windowsills. It was dirty grey and very, very noticeable in that week leading up to 9/11.
There were workers throughout the World Trade Center and had access to the hoistway, which is immediately adjacent to the core columns and beams in the building.
The fact that there were visitors, like engineers of some kind, wandering around the floors, carrying toolboxes and cables and so on.
We're talking about several tons of nanothermite and ordinary thermite. One would have to have access through security.
Video cameras caught trucks arriving at the World Trade Center from about August 23rd until every night until about September 2nd, September 3rd. And the trucks were arriving at about 3 o'clock in the morning when everybody else had left the building, including the janitorial trucks. Something was brought into that building that would help with the detonation. There may have been work done on the detonation before. It may have been going on for months, but whatever they needed at the very end, they came and brought in that 10-day period.
The 9/11 Commission also does not tell you that Marvin Bush, the president's brother, and their cousin, Wirt Walker, were the principals of the company that was in charge of security for the World Trade Center. They don't,
The jaw-dropping coincidences kept piling up. I learned that Stratesec was a security company which used to be called Securicom, and they didn't just handle security for the World Trade Center complex. They had contracts with Dulles International Airport, from where Flight 93 departed, and United Airlines, accounting for most of the security breakdowns on 9/11. And another thing, Stratesec also handles security for Los Alamos National Labs, one of the only places on the planet that can produce the nanothermite found in the ground zero dust. The odds are pretty astonishing that one company can link so many vital elements of 9/11. But more astonishing is there's no mention of Stratesec or Securicom in the entire 567-page 9/11 Commission report. Of course, that was no surprise by now. Did I forget to mention that that same 9/11 Commission did not mention the collapse of Building 7 in the entire report either?
Why is there not a word about the collapse of that building in the 9/11 Commission report?
We didn't see any evidence of the kind of thing you're talking about.
I didn't think this was something done by terrorists anymore, nor did I think this was done by any one man, even if a president. How does he get nanothermite? How does he get NORAD, the FAA, and our air defenses to look the other way? Or get access to the interior of all 3 towers? Or get 19 guys to kill themselves? Or get NIST and the 9/11 Commission to tank their investigations? Or keep the media quiet? Or keep a rival administration from exposing it? No, this seemed much bigger than even a president, and impossible for a man on the run. If someone like me with no budget or staff can find something clearly wrong with Building 7's collapse, how could an entire government commission fail to mention it in their report? Something big and strange was coming into view, seemingly coordinated and almost invisible, like 1,000 more puzzle pieces dumped out before me. I couldn't see the bigger picture yet, but I knew there was one, and it involved powerful elements of our world. This reminded me of a quote that struck me in Woodrow Wilson's book, The New Freedom. He writes, "Some of the biggest men in the United States in the field of commerce and manufacture are afraid of somebody, are afraid of something. They know that there is a power somewhere so organized, so subtle, so watchful, so interlocked, so complete, so pervasive, that they had better not speak above their breath when they speak in condemnation of it." I wonder